10 Scottish surnames that reveal your ancient clan. Scottish surnames often point to a family story older than the modern nation of Scotland itself. Some names come from Gaelic words, some from Norse settlers, some from medieval landowners, some from occupations, and some from powerful clans that controlled valleys, islands, castles, and trade routes for centuries. A Scottish surname does not automatically prove direct descent from a clan chief, but it can reveal the world your ancestors may have lived in, the region they came from, the language they spoke, the lord they followed, the work they did, or the family network that once protected them. The Scottish clan system was not only about blood. A clan could include relatives of the chief, allied families, tenants, servants, warriors, craftsmen, and people who adopted the name of a powerful local lord. That is why one surname can carry many layers of meaning. It may be a true family line, a territorial identity, a political alliance, or a sign that your ancestors lived under the protection of a certain house. Here are 10 Scottish surnames that may reveal an ancient clan connection. Number 1, Campbell. Campbell is one of the most famous and powerful names in Scottish history. The clan is strongly associated with Argyll, a western region of Scotland filled with sea lochs, mountains, islands, and old strategic routes between the Highlands and the coast. The Campbells became one of the dominant Highland families, and their chiefs eventually became earls, and later dukes, of Argyll. The name Campbell is often explained from Gaelic elements meaning something like crooked mouth. In old naming traditions, physical descriptions, nicknames, and personal traits could become family names. But the historical power of the Campbell name came not from the meaning of the word, but from the rise of the clan itself. The early Campbells were tied to the lands around Loch Awe. Over time, they became deeply connected with royal power in Scotland. During the Wars of Scottish Independence, the Campbells supported Robert the Bruce, and that loyalty helped them gain land and influence. As rival families lost power, Campbell authority expanded across Argyll and beyond. To carry the surname Campbell may suggest a link to one of the most politically successful Highland clans. It may also suggest ancestors who lived in Campbell territory, served Campbell landlords, or became part of the wider Campbell network. The clan was not a small family circle, it was a major regional force. In storytelling terms, Campbell is a name of ambition, survival, statecraft, and power. It is not only the name of Highland warriors, it is also the name of administrators, landholders, soldiers, and political players who understood how to survive in a changing Scotland. If your surname is Campbell, your family name may point toward Argyll, Loch Awe, the Western Highlands, and one of the great power structures of Scottish history. Number 2, MacDonald. MacDonald means son of Donald. The Gaelic form is usually connected with Mac Domnail, and the name belongs to one of the greatest clan groupings in the history of the Highlands and Islands, Clan Donald. For centuries, the MacDonalds were associated with the western seaboard, the Hebrides, and the old Gaelic Norse world that connected Scotland, Ireland, and the islands of the North Atlantic. The MacDonalds were not simply a local family, they were tied to the Lords of the Isles, a powerful lordship that ruled large parts of the western islands and mainland coasts. In some periods, this lordship was strong enough to act almost like a kingdom within a kingdom. It controlled sea routes, island strongholds, warriors, ships, and alliances. The name Donald itself comes from an older Gaelic personal name often interpreted as world ruler or mighty ruler. Whether every MacDonald descends from a ruling line is a different question, but the name carries a strong association with leadership, island power, and Gaelic identity. There are many branches of the MacDonalds. Some are connected with places like Sleat, Clanranald, Glencoe, Keppoch, and other Highland and Island territories. This is important because a surname alone is only the beginning. The deeper story often depends on geography. A MacDonald from Skye, a MacDonald from Glencoe, and a MacDonald from the Hebrides may share a broad name but belong to different historical branches. The MacDonald story is also marked by conflict. Their rivalries with the Campbells are among the most famous in Scottish memory, especially because of events like the Massacre of Glencoe in 1692. That tragedy became a symbol of betrayal, clan politics, and the violent pressure placed on Highland society by the modernizing state. If your surname is MacDonald, it may point toward the old Gaelic West. Islands, sea roads, chiefs, bards, warriors, cattle, castles, and a culture that looked as much toward the Atlantic as toward Edinburgh. Number 3, Stewart or Stewart. Stewart is one of the most important surnames in Scotland because it became the name of a royal house. The name originally comes from an office, steward. A steward was a manager or administrator of a great household or estate. In medieval Scotland, the high stewards became increasingly powerful, and from that office came the Stewart dynasty. The Stuarts rose from service to kingship. Robert II, who became king in the 14th century, was the first Stuart monarch of Scotland. After him, the name became linked with the Scottish crown, and later with the crowns of England and Ireland as well. The spelling Stewart became especially associated with the royal line after French influence, particularly through Mary, Queen of Scots. Unlike some Highland clan names, Stewart has both royal and broad social meanings. It may connect to noble branches, lowland families, Highland Stewart lines, or people who lived under Stewart influence. There are also Highland Stewart families, including Stewarts of Appin and Stewarts connected with other regions. To carry the surname Stewart does not mean automatic royal descent. Many people took or inherited the name through service, territory, or association. But few Scottish surnames carry such a powerful national memory. Stewart is a name of administration, monarchy, loyalty, rebellion, exile, and dynastic drama. The Stewart story includes castles, courts, battles, marriages, religious conflict, and the Jacobite cause. For many people, the name evokes not only medieval Scotland but the later romantic memory of the Stuarts, lost kings, Highland support, and the dream of restoring an old royal line. If your surname is Stewart or Stewart, it may suggest a connection to one of Scotland's most consequential historical names. It is a surname that began as a job, became an office, then became a dynasty. Number 4, MacLeod. MacLeod means son of Leod. The name is strongly associated with the Isle of Skye, the Hebrides, and a Norse Gaelic past. Clan MacLeod has two major traditional branches, the MacLeods of Harris and Dunvegan, and the MacLeods of Lewis. Both are linked in tradition to Leod, a figure from the 13th century whose background reflects the mixed Gaelic and Norse world of the Western Islands. This matters because the Hebrides were not purely Gaelic in the early medieval period. They were shaped by Norse settlement, sea power, island lordships, and cultural blending. Names, customs, and ruling families often carried both Gaelic and Norse influences. MacLeod is one of the best surnames for showing that mixture. Dunvegan Castle on Skye is one of the great symbols of Clan MacLeod. It represents continuity, local power, and the deep connection between clan identity and place. In the Highlands and Islands, a surname was often tied to landscape. A name could belong to a coastline, a glen, a castle, a ferry route, or a chain of islands. The MacLeod motto, often given as "Hold Fast," fits the image of the clan well. It suggests endurance, loyalty, and stubborn survival in a difficult environment. The Western Islands demanded exactly that. Life there required control of land and sea, alliances with neighbors, and the ability to defend territory against rivals. If your surname is MacLeod, it may point towards Skye, Lewis, Harris, Race, and the Norse Gaelic world of the Hebrides. It is a surname that carries island wind, sea cliffs, old castles, and the memory of a society where ships were as important as roads. Number 5. Mackenzie. Mackenzie is usually understood as son of Coinich or son of Kenneth. The Gaelic form is often connected with McCoinich. The personal name Coinich can be interpreted as handsome or comely, though the surname's historical significance comes from the rise of Clan Mackenzie in the Northwest Highlands. The Mackenzies became especially powerful in Rossshire and areas around Kintail. Their influence spread across a large Highland territory, and they became one of the major clans of the North. Like many Scottish families, their growth came from a mix of kinship, landholding, marriage, military power, and political adaptation. The Mackenzie name is strongly connected with Ilian Donan Castle, one of Scotland's most recognizable castles. Although the castle has a layered history involving more than one family, it is often linked in popular memory with the Mackenzies and their allies. This is one reason the surname carries such a vivid Highland image. To carry the name Mackenzie may suggest roots in the Northern Highlands or a connection to families who lived under Mackenzie influence. It is also a good example of how Scottish surnames traveled. Today, Mackenzie is found across the English-speaking world, and in North America it even became a popular first name. But behind the modern use is a much older Highland surname tied to land, power, and identity. The Mackenzie story is not only about warriors, it is also about expansion, estate management, loyalty to different political causes, and survival through the transformation of the Highlands. As Scotland changed, clans had to become landowners, soldiers, politicians, and participants in the British Empire. If your surname is Mackenzie, it may point toward Rossshire, Kintail, Highland lordship, and a family network that became one of the most influential in northern Scotland. Number 6. Fraser. Fraser is a fascinating Scottish surname because its origin is often considered Norman or French, yet it became deeply rooted in Scotland. The name may have come into Scotland through medieval families who arrived with Anglo-Norman influence. Over time, the Frasers became thoroughly Scottish, with important branches in both the Lowlands and Highlands. There are two especially famous Fraser identities: the Frasers of Philorth, associated with the northeast, and the Frasers of Lovat, strongly associated with the Highlands around Inverness and the Great Glen. The Lovat Frasers became one of the notable Highland clans, and their history includes politics, conflict, and Jacobite drama. The surname Fraser shows that Scottish identity was never made from one source. Some names are Gaelic. Some are Norse, some are Norman, some are territorial, some are occupational. Scotland was shaped by waves of people, languages, and power. A name like Fraser carries that layered history. There is also a tradition that some people living in Fraser lands took the Fraser name even if they were not originally of the chief's bloodline. This happened with many powerful clans. A surname could become a sign of belonging to a district or following a lord, not only a genetic marker. The Fraser name became famous far beyond Scotland through migration. Many Frasers went to North America, Australia, and other parts of the world. In the diaspora, the name often became a symbol of Highland heritage, even when the family's exact original branch was difficult to trace. If your surname is Fraser, it may suggest a connection to Norman Scottish roots, Highland power around Lovat, or northeastern Scottish landholding. It is a name that shows how foreign origins could become completely Scottish over centuries. Number 7. Gordon. Gordon is another surname with territorial roots. It is usually connected with a place name in the Scottish borders before the family rose to major power in the northeast of Scotland. The Gordons became strongly associated with Aberdeenshire and the region around Huntly, where they developed into one of the great noble families of Scotland. The Gordon story is different from the romantic image of island clans. It is a story of border origins, land acquisition, noble power, and northeastern influence. The chiefs of Clan Gordon became earls and later dukes of Gordon. Their political and military role was significant, especially in the northeast. The Gordons were often associated with Catholic and Royalist causes during periods of religious and political conflict. Their power base made them major players in Scotland's internal struggles. This gives the surname a different flavor from names like MacDonald or MacLeod. Gordon feels less like a Sea Clan name and more like the name of castles, cavalry, estates, and regional authority. To carry the surname Gordon may point toward the borders originally, but more commonly toward the northeast, especially Aberdeenshire and surrounding areas. It may suggest ancestors connected with Gordon lands, Gordon service, or one of the wider family branches. The surname also shows how Scottish clan identity was not limited to the Gaelic-speaking Highlands. Some of the most powerful Scottish families had Lowland or Norman-influenced origins, but still became part of the broader clan and family system. If your surname is Gordon, it may reveal a connection to one of the great houses of northeastern Scotland, a name of land, loyalty, religious conflict, and aristocratic power. Number 8. Robertson. Robertson means son of Robert, but in Scottish clan history it is connected with Clan Donachide, often translated as Clan Duncan. The Robertsons of Struan are one of the important Highland families of Perthshire. Their story is rooted in the Central Highlands, around places where routes through the mountains mattered deeply. The surname Robertson is interesting, because the clan name and the English surname do not match perfectly. Clan Donachide comes from a Gaelic personal name connected with Duncan, while Robertson developed from descent from a man named Robert. This reminds us that Scottish surnames often changed form as Gaelic names were translated, adapted, or anglicized. The Robertsons were associated with loyalty to the Scottish crown in medieval conflicts, and their chiefs held lands around Struan. In clan memory, they are often connected with courage, fierce independence, and Highland identity. The clan motto is commonly given in Latin as "Glory is the reward of valor," which reflects the martial image of the family. Because Robertson is also a common patronymic surname, not every Robertson automatically belongs to the same clan line. Some families may have developed the name independently from an ancestor named Robert, but in a Scottish context, the name often leads researchers toward Clan Donachade and Perthshire. Robertson is a strong example of a surname that looks simple but opens a deeper door. On the surface, it means Robert's son. Underneath, it may connect to Gaelic clan identity, Highland Perthshire, anglicized naming, and the way Scottish families moved between languages. If your surname is Robertson, it may point toward Clan Donachade, the Central Highlands, and a family tradition shaped by both Gaelic culture and English language record keeping. Number 9, Douglas. Douglas is one of the great territorial surnames of Scotland. It comes from a place name, often explained from Gaelic elements meaning dark water or black stream. The Douglas family rose from Lanarkshire and became one of the most powerful noble houses in medieval Scotland. The name Douglas carries enormous historical weight. The Black Douglases were famous supporters of Robert the Bruce during the Wars of Scottish Independence. Sir James Douglas, known as the Good Sir James, became one of Bruce's closest companions and a legendary figure in Scottish history. The family's military reputation grew so strong that the name Douglas became associated with courage, danger, and noble ambition. There were different branches of the Douglas family, including the Black Douglases and the Red Douglases. Their power eventually became so great that Scottish kings sometimes saw them as threats. This is a recurring pattern in medieval history. A noble house could become essential to the crown, then too powerful for the crown to tolerate. Unlike surnames beginning with Mac, Douglas does not sound immediately like a Highland clan name to modern ears, but it is deeply Scottish and deeply tied to land. It shows the importance of territorial surnames in Scotland, names that came from places, then became dynasties. To carry the surname, Douglas may suggest a link to the lands of Douglasdale, to medieval lowland nobility, or to families who lived under the influence of the Douglas House. It is a name of battlefields, royal alliances, castles, and the dangerous politics of medieval Scotland. If your surname is Douglas, your family name may carry the memory of one of Scotland's most formidable houses, a name born from a dark stream that became a symbol of military power. Number 10. Cameron. Cameron is a major Highland surname, strongly associated with Lochaber in the Western Highlands. The name is often explained from Gaelic elements meaning crooked nose or crooked river, depending on interpretation and tradition. Like Campbell, it may have begun as a descriptive name, but its historical power came from the clan that carried it. Clan Cameron became one of the important clans of the Western Highlands. Their territory around Lochaber placed them in a rugged and strategic part of Scotland, near routes between the Great Glen, the West Coast, and the Central Highlands. This was a region where clan rivalries, cattle raiding, alliances, and military service shaped everyday life. The Camerons are especially associated with loyalty to the Jacobite cause. During the risings of the 17th and 18th centuries, many Highland clans supported the Stewart claim to the throne, and the Camerons were among the names remembered in that story. The Jacobite period became one of the most romanticized and tragic chapters in Highland history, ending in the defeat at Culloden in 1746 and the harsh changes that followed. To carry the surname Cameron may suggest a connection to Lochaber, Highland warrior culture, and Jacobite memory. But again, the name may also have been adopted by families living in Cameron territory or connected to Cameron chiefs. Clan identity was social and political as well as biological. Cameron is now widely found across the world, and like Mackenzie, it has also become a first name in many English-speaking countries. But behind the modern familiarity is a deeply Highland surname with strong regional roots. If your surname is Cameron, it may point toward Lochaber, the Western Highlands, and a clan remembered for endurance, conflict, and loyalty to lost causes. These 10 surnames show how Scottish names work. They are not just labels. They are compressed histories. Campbell points toward Argyll and political power. MacDonald points toward the Lords of the Isles and the Gaelic West. Stewart points toward royal service and kingship. MacLeod points toward Skye and the Norse Gaelic Islands. Mackenzie points toward Rossshire and the Northern Highlands. Fraser points toward Norman Scottish roots and Highland adaptation. Gordon points toward noble power in the northeast. Robertson points toward Clan Donachade and Perthshire. Douglas points toward medieval lowland warlords. Cameron points toward Lochaber and Jacobite memory. But the most important rule is this: a surname is a clue, not final proof. The same name can have different origins in different families. Some people inherited a clan name by blood. Others adopted it through land, loyalty, work, marriage, migration, or protection. A person named Campbell is not automatically descended from a Duke of Argyll. A person named MacDonald is not automatically descended from the Lords of the Isles. A person named Stewart is not automatically royal, but each of these names opens a real historical path worth following. To trace a Scottish surname properly, start with the most recent known ancestor and work backward. Look for birth records, marriage records, census entries, parish registers, immigration papers, wills, land records, and military records. Pay attention to place. In Scottish family history, geography often matters as much as the surname itself. A MacLeod from Skye tells a different story from a MacLeod recorded generations later in Glasgow. A Gordon in Aberdeenshire may have a different trail from a Gordon in the Borders. A Fraser in Inverness-shire may lead toward a different branch than a Fraser in the northeast. Also watch for spelling changes. Scottish surnames were recorded by clerks, ministers, landlords, and officials who did not always spell names consistently. MacDonald, 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 and MacDonald may appear in related records. Stewart and Stewart may overlap. Mackenzie may appear in older forms or with different spellings. Gaelic names were often reshaped into English forms, and that process could hide the older structure of the name. The deeper value of these surnames is not only in proving descent, it is in understanding the world your family name came from. Scottish surnames can reveal whether your ancestors were connected to a glen, a profession, a chief, a castle, a language, a migration, or a political cause. They can show how ordinary families were tied to extraordinary events, wars of independence, clan rivalries, royal successions, religious conflict, the Jacobite risings, Highland clearances, industrial migration, and the global Scottish diaspora. That is why these names still matter. They carry memory even when the details have been lost. A surname can survive when a castle is ruined, when a language fades, when a family crosses an ocean, or when the old clan lands are no longer home. It can become the last visible thread connecting a modern person to a much older landscape. Scottish surnames are not magic keys, but they are maps. They point toward places, people, and stories. If your surname is one of these 10, it may be the beginning of a trail leading back to Argyll, Skye, Lochaber, Perthshire, Ross-shire, Aberdeenshire, the Borders, the Hebrides, or the royal courts of medieval Scotland. And even if your name is not on this list, the same method applies. Find the meaning, find the region, find the earliest records, and then follow the name back through history. Every surname has a first landscape. Every family name began somewhere. In Scotland, that somewhere might be a castle on a sea loch, a black stream in the Lowlands, a mountain pass in Perthshire, a clan territory in the west, a royal household, or an island where Gaelic and Norse worlds met. The surname is only the doorway. The real story begins when you step through it.